Imagine this, a bunch of kids were minding their own business on their way to school when all of a sudden, boom, they're whisked away to a random world. Now they're standing in front of a king, totally thrown for a loop. Classic isekai scenario, am I right? A loyalist makes a typical speech of their nation being in constant battle against the demon nations, resulting in heavy losses and debts. He emphasizes that they are about to undergo an extreme crisis, and that's why powerful people from different worlds have been summoned for their help. They are struck by a lightning bolt when they realize those special people are actually them. They are lauded for instantly answering their King Genesis, the 18th's call, and are termed heroes. The poor group cannot believe their senses as they thought they might be living in a dream. Soon their abilities are about to be measured. One by one their skills are appraised, and a young woman discovers that she has acquired a very rare skill of the Scythe of the Goddess. The monarchists rush towards her in envy, and they consider her very fortunate. It is disclosed that all youngsters have acquired rare skills that will help them pass to a new world through a power bestowed upon them by God. The heroes are told that in the new world, skills do not appear ordinarily to everyone but are entirely dependent on God's blessings. The otherwise ten-a-penny commoners in their world, the youngsters are delightfully surprised to learn that they possess powers in this new world and are heroes. The young woman named Momoko nervously tries to deny having any special ability when a loyalist claims that her goddess's scythe has the power to slay even the highest level demon with just one swing. The king smiles satisfactorily since apart from Momoko, a few others have also been awarded with golden skills, and the summoning this time hasn't gone wasted. However, just like roses have thorns, a person among those exclusive heroes named Itonami Norio is revealed to acquire 0 special abilities. A while ago, in a city of concrete and the usual hustle and bustle of busy commuters, Norio is fretting over as another of his precious days has been consumed being a corporate drone. To add salt to an injury, he is forced to board an already crowded train. In sheer frustration, he dashes towards the train door, only to get collided with a soft, bouncy cushion. He freaks out since he is aware that in his hurry he crashed accidentally into someone. But to his astonishment, he finds himself staring at a bizarrely dressed chubby man, with a goofy smile on his face. Norio is further shocked when the man with his hair Swiss-rolled in front reveals that he is God. Norio questions him curiously whether he passed away by chance. The roly-poly Greek god explains that he has been summoned to another world by his father. Seeing Norio puzzled, God clarifies that his father is the king of gods, Zeus. Now that is quite difficult to digest, but he goes on flapping his hands wildly about how Athena was once responsible for administrating but was replaced due to her discriminating ways against the opposite sex, and now he will be taking care of Norio as the summoning administrator. Norio is wide-eyed with shock, so the guy introduces himself as Hephaestus and claims to be good at making things. He is all set to bestow a skill to Norio. He is a little nervous since it is his first time preparing a skill for someone but claims to be given his best shot. As the strange creature scrapes inside his drapes, Norio is not sure about the miracle that will pop out soon. Hephaestus brings out a glob of brightness stating that this is the skill he has created called Master of Supremacy. Poor lad is baffled because he has literally no clue what the draped potato is talking about. Hephaestus assures him that he will figure out how to use this very complicated skill. Norio is jittery and anguished, but before he can take any action, Hephaestus has already bestowed that skill on him, claiming to have poured his heart into creating it and wants him to continually use it in his new world. As the powers are transferred to Norio, he lets out a deafening scream as if his soul is being pulled out. Currently, Norio recalls how he was brought into this new horizon. He is still trying to figure out about his abrupt transfer. He doesn't notice that the whole court has broken into anxious whispers about a hero with a missing skill. Finally, when he looks around, he realizes that everyone appears distressed, including King Genesis. But he already knows that he is incapable of fighting such wicked things. He musters up his courage and desires to ask a question from Genesis, but the king is so miserable that he nearly tumbles over his throne. He wails uncontrollably since he doesn't know whether to express his anger or pity towards Norio. He warns Norio that he won't be able to go back to his world. Now our lad is not at all worried about going back, but Momoko freaks out on hearing this. Genesis sternly clarifies that heroes can be summoned but cannot be transmuted back. The heroes who were earlier rejoicing on being blessed explode with wrath upon hearing that there is no way out from this new world. Genesis clarifies that only the Demon King has the key to return, and that's why the heroes will fight the demon armies. Norio reminded about his skill-less situation. He snorts in frustration since even he is perplexed about the hero turns zero's situation. Out of the blue, he wonders whether he can have a plot of land. His strange request baffles Genesis, so he clarifies that he won't mind if the land is away from the population. He reasons that on that land he will plow and live out his life in peace. Secretly, Norio is exhilarated since he has gotten the opportunity to put the wretched corporate life behind him. He dumps his satchel on the ground and resolves to start a new life. Later, Norio is accompanied by a loyalist to an infinite wilderness. The man pauses at a spot and indicates that from that point onwards lies his area. The loyalist mentions that the land was bought by King Genesis, especially for Norio, and a stipend will also be provided to him so that he can live a life of his own choice. Norio is delighted since he has been knighted and gifted an unexplored land by the king that isn't even part of his kingdom. He wonders whether the king should have bought that land for him or not. The man shows a positive aspect of the territory, which is beyond the kingdom, that now Norio can easily choose to live, farm, and harvest crops without paying any taxes to the king. Norio is pleased, but he highlights his inability to farm. The guide is uninterested and demands his fee. After being paid, the loyalist departs, leaving Norio on his own. Norio feels bad for the king, paying for him because of his zero ability. Stranded in the middle of the wilderness, Norio looks around to his new abode. Now any other normal person would have gone on a great adventure, forming a team with others to overcome a dangerous situation, eventually defeating an enemy and obtaining fame. But Norio is different, and he knows that King Genesis and his men are desperate to get rid of him anyway. Norio wants to live a safe life in the new world without any unnecessary animation. He doesn't want to disturb them, so he decides to settle somewhere far away from their reach. As he delves through the deep woods, he comes across an enormous clearing near the sea. He smiles and realizes that at last, he has found the perfect spot. He resolves to dwell in that place and build a little kingdom of his own. He analyzes his situation and first chooses to arrange for some water. He plops his hand in the seemingly seawater and drinks some of it, concluding that the water is drinkable. He is astonished to discover the vast body of water is a freshwater lake, not the sea. Spotting a tentacle in the water, he exclaims about an octopus and wonders if they live in shallow waters. Hungry, Norio dismisses the thought and tries to grab it, only to slip and fall in. After a moment underwater, he pops out with the octopus perched on his head. Gasping from the salty taste, he realizes his first guess was right. He's near the sea. Still, he is puzzled because before, when he tasted the water, it tasted sweet. A thought strikes him, and he plops his hands again in the water and cups some of the water in them. A mystical energy is generated from his hands, and when he drinks that water, he is amazed to learn that it's sweet. He clenches his hand in sheer delight when he learns the amazing dynamics of the new world. He pulls off the octopus from his head in relief, thinking that now water will not be a problem for him. The next issue is to fill his stomach with some food. Since he doesn't have any spices, he decides to boil the octopus in some salt water. To ignite his first fire ever, he carves a hole in a dry wooden plank and then creates a notch. He places a thin stick into the hole and rotates it by hand. The next step will be to transfer burning cinders caused by friction to a dry leaf. Now the process looks simple, but in reality it is a grueling process, but Norio puts his heart into it and spins the stick vigorously. Out of the blue, a mystical energy emerging from his hand empowers the rotation, and in no time a blazing fire is ignited to his alarm. Later, while gobbling a boiled tentacle, he reflects upon the past happenings and finds it unbelievable that the fire was ignited so easily. Also, he was able to carve a bowl and some chopsticks without any hassle. He smugly gives all the credit to his fantastic survival skills. Suddenly it dawns on him that he is probably awarded some special skills by the god of furnace Hephaestus, who claimed to have bestowed upon him the Master of Supremacy. He decides to test out his skills further. Soon, with a sickle in one hand, he compels his Master of Supremacy skills to activate. To his astonishment, the nearby grass gets cut to the stem as swishes around the sickle wildly. It seems as if the grass is smothered to death. Next, he picks up a spade and tries his hand at plowing. As he strikes the spade on the ground, the whole ground shakes violently and then shatters, spraying out rubble everywhere. Norio yells in a stupor at such a wild sight and then checks out the freshly plowed ground. He notices some earthworms crawling around the ground and concludes that the ground is so well dug that he doesn't need to do anything else. Also, the size of the plowed ground is appropriate for an actual crop field. Just like Hephaestus has claimed, the Master of Supremacy multiples the efficiency of anything Norio holds. He is certain with such a powerful skill, farming will be a piece of cake. He resolves to immediately start farming. He plants the uncanny seeds into the freshly plowed ground, and in no time the work is completed to his relief. Now he is not sure what he has planted, but he knows one thing: after harvesting the crop, his food problems will be over. In the meantime, he selects to catch some fish for dinner. He drops the fishing line into the water and waits in a relaxing mode. He analyzes that his current life might be tortoise-paced compared to the fast-moving corporate life he had in his first life, but thanks to Hephaestus, he is getting a hang of it. In his mind, he imagines a ruddy-cheeked roly-poly Hephaestus and expresses his gratitude to him. He realizes that the jelly-belly god resembles the delicious rice balls, so he makes up his mind that once he has grown some rice and has obtained seaweed, he will sacrifice some for Hephaestus. Suddenly, his fishing line begins to jolt violently, indicating a big catch. Excitingly, he pulls the line with much compulsion, and then, to his alarm, a strange girl appears from the water with the fishing line stuck in her mouth. He freaks out on realizing that he actually caught a damsel. Then he spots a huge tail attached to her rear instead of her legs, and he completely loses it all. He composes himself and tries to reason that he is in a new world where mermaids are commonly found. The tailed damsel is not very pleased to be disturbed by an obnoxious land dweller, so she yells at him angrily. Poor Norio gets nervous seeing her all flared up, but then she throws another explosive on him since he has dared to fish her out, so now he has to get hitched with her. The whole world froze around Norio as he listened to her demand, dumbfounded. She explains that there is no embarrassment worse to the merfolk than being clutched by a land dweller. The mermaid is distressed because now she has been banished from her community. She keeps on jibber-jabbering about her woes while a frantic Norio is still in a state of denial that he is actually stuck with a mermaid wife in another world. The mermaid pulls out the annoying line from her mouth and frets over her current situation. Norio peers at her thoughtfully, realizing that she looks quite different from the picture books he has seen. He tries to assure her that she doesn't deserve such a severe punishment for being caught once, but the infuriated marine damsel snaps at him for talking rubbish. She barks at him that since the very beginning, the merfolk have scorned the land people. Poor Norio is nearly blown away by her raging bellows, but she doesn't stop since her pride has been severely hurt by his awful race. She claims that now she doesn't have the nose to go back to the ocean. She orders him to take responsibility and provide for her since now she is left with no choice but to become his wife. Her allegation causes him to let out an empty horse laugh, and he nervously tries to explain that interspecies relationships usually don't work. He urges her to think calmly about her ultimatum. The mermaid is very straightforward since she flaps her tail thoughtfully while lying on the ground. She instantly realizes what Norio is pointing at as her tail will create a hurdle in the mating process. A humiliated Norio tries to shrug off her cultured statements, but the mermaid slickly brings out a vial containing a mysterious potion. She pulls out the cork and downs the vial contents in one go. Soon there is a massive zap, and in no time her scaly tail transforms into a pair of smooth, creamy legs. Norio further sinks into pits, seeing her uncovered from the rear, and frantically covers his eyes. The mermaid pompously claims that now she can easily live like a human on the land and can carry out the reproduction process. Norio literally has an egg on his face seeing her in her birth suit while she unconsciously blabbers out the future plans. He manages to point out that she must cover herself first. Without much thinking, he takes her as his wife. Meanwhile, the mermaid reluctantly tries to put some pants on while Norio is engrossed in some serious thinking about their future. He screams at her in frustration that he won't marry her if she doesn't cover herself. Later he calms himself down and promises her that he will buy her appropriate clothes once he is settled. Now he is more worried about a roof over their head since he just got there a while ago and has managed to create a field only. To his amazement, tiny leaves have started to sprout from the field, thanks to his Master of Supremacy skill. He is confident that now he will become quite self-sufficient with ample food, a house, and tools. He vows to create everything from scratch to have a humble lifestyle. The mermaid sighs in agitation, calling the land dwellers a nuisance, but she agrees to compromise with her husband if he seeks that kind of lifestyle. She enthusiastically informs him that medicinal magic is her forefathers' specialty, and she is actually popular as a medicinal magic user. Her tone strikes Norio, but she continues to blabber in a coarse cowboy style to his horror. He is about to have a heart attack when she pulls off her pants, revealing her rear and dashes towards the sea. He runs panic-strickenly after her, but she reveals that she is going to fetch her things from home. In no time, her legs transform into a smooth tail. She dives into the water and vanishes. Norio waits for her, but even after a while, the water remains stagnant in front of him, and there is no sign of the mermaid. Norio is frustrated to the core and stomps through the grass. He ponders that the tailed maiden is really keen on becoming his wife, and he can see his vision of a serene life blurring in front of him. He still has a tiny hope that she is never back, but for now he draws out a small axe and begins sawing a wooden log to build a house for himself. In no time he manages to build for himself a decent little cottage. He cannot believe that he built it in an hour and still feels that he is in the lavish dream of any man. Soon he lies on a comfortable bed, as even Hephaestus's gift can be quite exhausting. He analyzes and concludes that probably his weariness is due to that high-strung mermaid. He really wishes that she never returns and goes to slumberland as night falls. Early in the morning, he is abruptly awakened by a deafening mermaid, perkily announcing her arrival. She claims that she has been looking for him everywhere. However, Norio freaks out on seeing her in her birthday suit yet again. Quite annoyed, she puts on her pants, but she is surprised when Norio expresses concern about her absence the whole night. To his amusement, the high and mighty mermaid declares that she doesn't need a mere land dweller worrying for her. But then she explains that it took her a while to pack her things. Norio is startled to see a whole range of eccentric equipment gathered in front of him. The mermaid claims that these are the tools for medicinal magic. She describes how combining medicinal plants with magic produces medicinal magic, noting its versatility and value even for ordinary people. Norio wonders whether he can use it for cold. With a smirk, she promises to whip up a potion to battle his pesky cold symptoms. But she is on for something more exciting as she pops out an enormous fish and states its name as Ba Herring G. She professes that fish-type monsters have a lot of mana stored in their bodies. To give a practical demonstration, she cuts the fish into several pieces with her bare hand, boils it well, extracts it, sets it to dry, and then pounds it in a powdery form. The resultant end product is called Bay Herring G fertilizer. Norio is bewildered, but she promotes that if he spreads the fertilizer on his field, then the plants will grow faster. He is touched since the mermaid did all that just to flourish the field. The following day, Norio is awestruck to see fully grown crops decorated on his field. He exclaims in delight that Bay Herring is really fascinating, but the mermaid is not very pleased because she claims that she is the one to be credited. He is amazed to see a ripe, fully grown tomato. He hesitantly takes a bite and is electrified by its superb taste. He loves it so much that he chomps it down hungrily, to the mermaid's stupor, since she didn't know they tasted so great. To confirm, she plucks one out and bits it. Her eyes widen in astonishment, and Norio guesses that its taste is not per her species. But to his surprise, her eyes sparkle in delight as she exclaims that the thing she just tasted is fantastic. The mermaid has never seen or tasted a tomato before, so she wonders whether the land people eat such delicious stuff. Next, she gets her hands on a large spring onion and some carrots as she wants to try them as well. However, an anxious Norio stops her, mentioning many of the vegetables are inedible before they are cooked. However, the adamant mermaid throws a tantrum like a spoiled toddler, rolling violently and demanding to devour vegetables. A droopy Norio has no choice but to cook some for her, so he tosses some veggies into boiling seawater to create a strange medley dish. Next, he offers her a bowl of that stew. After she slurps some of it, she exclaims delightfully that the hodgepodge is very tasty. He watches her wide-eyed as she enjoys her meal. He nulls down a bit, compromising to live with that she-loudspeaker. She wonders whether land people ate such mixtures regularly. He corrects her that usually some meat is added to such stews to make it more tasty. Also, some condiments like fermented herbs enhance the taste further. The mermaid explodes at the thought that the sumptuous stew can become even fancier. Norio affirms that if it has the right ingredients, he dreamily plans to create more condiments and plant more soybeans for the relishing soy sauce and miso. He even decides to grow some herbs once they get their hands on some meat. They will also be needing some kitchen utensils, so the coming days will be quite uptight for them. Meanwhile, the mermaid watches him frowning as he deliciously spaces out in his self-created future. Suddenly, to Norio, the vegetables seem sweeter than ever. Suddenly, he realizes that he never asked the mermaid's name. She introduces herself as Platty while he ponders for a moment, realizing that now he is in another world and the name Norio doesn't seem to gel with it. He resolves to rename himself as Keaton, and he really looks forward to collaborating with Platty. She begins to chew her food excitedly as she promises to remember the name Keaton, but he jokes around that she can always call him the land dweller. His new life with the mermaid has commenced in another world. The next morning, a groggy and aching Keaton wakes up since his body is all stiff from sleeping on the floor. He notices that Platty is not on her bed and probably woke up before him. A concerning thought comes into his mind that even if she has changed into a human form, Platty is still a mermaid, so she might have felt like being placed on a chopping board the whole time. He hopes she is not having trouble just because he accidentally caught her. Out of the blue, the entire surroundings ring with a deafening howl along with the frantic squawking of the birds. Keaton anxiously runs outside towards the field only to find her alerting him about a strange presence. He is greatly amused when he discovers that she got scared by a mere scarecrow. When Platty looks surprised, he swings around his self-created masterpiece with sheer pride. He has even created joints for the supposed broom man to allow mobility. Also, the caped crusader is equipped with a wooden sword, so overall its job is to shoo away the annoying birds that would otherwise destroy the crops. She is shocked to learn that the scarecrow is a gallant doll wielding a sword to fend off birds. Laughing, Keaton clarifies that the sword is just for humor. The scarecrow is immobile. As the wooden puppet rattles in the wind, Keaton explains that its presence tricks birds into thinking a human is guarding the field, keeping them away. Platty points out at an ominously swaying wooden doll, claiming that it is moving though. He freaks out on seeing such an unexpected scene in which the scarecrow is swaying wildly, swishing around madly. Platty is anxious to see his reaction, but he clarifies that a stiff wooden puppet can't move around like that so flexibly. He realizes that this might be because he made it with his own hands. When she appears confused thinking something might be wrong with his hands, he explains that he was actually summoned by King Genesis, and in reality, he is from another world. So the power he received from God probably got applied while creating the scarecrow. A sudden realization shakes up Platty that Keaton might be a hero. Now he is not sure whether she already knows about the summoning procedure, but she surprises him by expressing her curiosity about one of mankind's magic rituals, and also those heroes use their powers to fight the demons. She wonders what a hero is doing in a deserted wilderness. He coyly explains that he didn't like the battling part, so he quietly retired to this place. Now his notion is not digested by her because according to her knowledge, humans cannot really survive if they do not stick together as they will be slayed by the monsters. He agrees with a smile, so she assumes that he is probably different from humans. Keaton mentions that he is from the human race she is talking about, and then relishes a plump tomato. Platty secretly doubts whether Keaton is strong or weak, but Keaton is busy tasting those tomatoes and decides to have them for breakfast. Like a thunderbolt, it occurs to him that she woke up quite early, so he inquires her about the reason. Platty is all flushed and irritated. She furiously blurts out that she woke up for the toilet and that land dwellers don't have any manners. He apologizes to her sheepishly. Now since the controversial topic has risen, Platty questions him about his own habits, so he simply states that he uses the ocean for the toilet. She screws up her face in sheer disgust and then hollers at him once again. Poor Keaton is terrified by her attack since it seems as if this time he will surely be devoured by her viciousness. He tries to save his neck by explaining that even the sailors use the ocean for that purpose. Next he creates his own version of the food chain starting from the plankton feeding on human waste. Platty looks at him maliciously claiming that there is no such ridiculous science. She bellows at him for being insensitive just like other land dwellers and explains that the marine food cycle revolves around its inhabitants only. She reprimands him for asserting his filthy otherworldly ways here. Keaton frantically apologizes to her deeply on his knees, but the marine princess feels a sense of pity for his race since they are not as enlightened as them, so she lets go of his blunder. Soon she dashes away, instructing him to wait. As she leaves, Keaton lets out a stifled breath and plops down thinking that he has gotten so used to the convenience of bathrooms in his world that he has forgotten the basic rules of survival. All he had to do was dig a hole, finish up his job, and cover it. He ponders that the natural lifestyle was all he desired, but humans are too spoiled to survive like that. He imagines himself being attacked by ferocious beasts, and a part of him is relieved that he has found Platty. But he knows that she doesn't hold him in her good books. He wonders whether she is okay since she already hates living with him. In the next moment, Platty presents him with a bowl full of starfish to his curiosity. She calls them starfish-shaped monsters and claims that the proud starfish stay underwater and absorb all the organic matter around them. For this reason, they are known as the ocean cleaners, and so if they are put in a box, a portable toilet is ready in no time. Keaton is skeptical about all this, so she offers to give a practical example. To his horror, she flicks up a penknife, slits her arm, and pours some blood into the box. In no time, the blood dilutes and disappears to Platty's glee. Worried sick, Keaton grabs her arm and freaks out seeing so much blood flow. He wails regretfully, cursing the moment when he caught her. He recalls miserably that ever since he met Platty, she has always helped him. Even Platty is shocked and then mellowed by his sudden outburst, but that feeling lasts only for seconds since she rashly pulls away from him, calling him a scaredy cat just like his fellow men. In the spur of a moment, she places her hand on the cut, and voila, it disappears like it was never there.